Hi there guys, it's Ruth here at Artful Stampin. Now, I have not done scrapbooking for quite a while, and when I say scrapbooking I don't mean including Project Life. I have been doing some Project Life little pages over the last few years since it came around. However, it's been a very long time since I've done a full kind of 12 by 12 page. The last few days I've been researching, looking back into it and going, oh my goodness, actually I do miss it. And it is a way of using up these beautiful scrapbook papers that Stampin Up produce. And also we do have some stamps that really do lend themselves to scrapbook pages, which I'm hoping to get using a little bit more in the next few weeks as I get back into scrapbooking. So I had a look at some of the pictures that I wanted to scrap. Now, I have actually just spent the last half an hour, 45 minutes filming myself getting these little bits ready, and then I thought, you know what, that's just so boring. You're not actually going to want to watch me doing all that. So if I've prepared this all, I'll explain a little bit about the background of how I've prepared up to this point, and then you guys can go away and play and do it yourself. So the first thing to tell you is that I've actually cut down, this is going to be my base DSP. So this is from the Neutrals paper stack that is retiring. And I've actually cut it down to, they come 12 by 12, but this is down to 11 3/4 inches. Now the reason I've done that is because we do have our page protectors that will very happily take a 12 by 12 piece of DSP, but I really love doing very 3D pages. So I want to leave a little bit of room in there. So I've cut my 12 by 12 down. Then I've taken a piece of this beautiful sort of florally, it's like that succulent, it's a succulents paper, and I can't remember the name of it, I'll do a link. And I've distressed it. Okay, so for those of you who are new to this technique, basically it means to make a piece of paper kind of old and weathered and stuff. So the way I do it is take my humble pair of snips. Okay, I bet you just thought this was good, these were just good for cutting with. They're not. They're really good for distressing paper, and this is the way I do it. I get the paper and I scrape the scissors along the side of the paper. Now sometimes it means that it catches and it actually rips it quite a lot. That's okay, because then I deliberately tear out chunks of the sides. I've actually even seen people digging holes in the paper and ripping it even more, and hopefully I'll be able to show you a bit more of that another day. So I've then kind of curled the pages back a bit. I've then got my sponge and some Tip Top Taupe ink, and I've really rubbed into this and around and about on the paper to get it more distressed. Now, I bet you can notice there are a few more images on here than is originally on this paper. You would be right in thinking that. I've used this stamp from the Timeless Textures stamp set in Mint Macaron, and I've stamped that around. I've got the dots from that same set and the little splatters. I've used Tip Top Taupe ink, and also used it on this stamp here, which is what I call the bubbles from Playful Background. Okay, so I've done all this already leading up to this point. Now I'm just going to turn it to face it how I imagined it. Now, originally I wanted to put these 3 pictures of my children on here, but then as I was playing I realised that it was just too busy. I actually want a lot of bits of floral stuff on here, and I wasn't going to have room to do that. So I'm actually going to make another layout to put these 2 pictures on, and I've got lots of leftover bits to carry on doing that. So I'm just going to focus in on this image here. So I've popped the stripy Neutrals paper underneath here, and I really want this, I like the contrast of that very graphic paper under here. I may even go in and distress this a little bit more yet, but I really do like that kind of having that background there. So all that remains for me to do is really lay it all out. So here I've taken the flowers from the Succulent Garden Kit that's available right now, but it's only available for the next week or so. And I've popped all the flowers out that I wanted to use. And so I've got the dark green here, the light green, and the Tip Top Taupe. And I've actually distressed these further by using my scissors and curling them, but before that I stamped the Timeless Texture stamp here with Tip Top Taupe, and I just randomly stamped all over it to create that extra bit of texture before I started gluing it all together. So I'm going to start just assembling this, and I may kind of like fast forward, skip out some bits because it might get a little bit dull, like now when my glue doesn't always work. So you might see me time hop a little bit, but it's just to make your viewing a little bit more comfortable so that you're not watching me do kind of like all the boring stuff. So where's my next one? Here it is. So these flowers are great because they come already sized in sequence so that it's easy to kind of pop them together. Right, I'm going to time a hop out of here and get a better glue. See you later. Okay, that's better. There's nothing quite frustrating as a glue that doesn't work. Okay, and then just that final little one there. And stick that in there. Now if you wanted to distress this a bit further, you can get your sponge and get in there and do some more on there. It's really quite fun. You do get very inky hands, however, but don't worry. Nothing like a long hot shower or a soak in the bath will get the ink off, and you'll be fine. I always say you haven't had fun if you haven't got inky fingers. So there we go. See how quickly those come together. Right, for these little ones here, I've punched out some daisies from the kind of triple daisy punch that again is retiring. I'm gonna miss this punch so much. It's so useful for filling little spaces. I'm just going to pop those in there like that. As you can see, I've already distressed those a little bit. And then I'm just going to pop a tiny little smidgen of glue there. And this glue is such good quality that you do not need to be putting too much. See, I've even actually put a little bit too much there. Okay, so I've got my flowers that are coming together now, and I want these kind of like stretching out across the bottom of the page. Oh, I've just realised I've not thought of what sentiment or description I'm going to put. I might just leave it, to be honest. I'm quite happy just for the picture to speak for itself, but it'd be nice for me to maybe put a date on here when I remember when I took it. Remember when I took this photograph. Okay, so some of these pieces are cut out from a really gorgeous set called the Flourish Thinlits dies. So I've cut out a whole load of those with Tip Top Taupe card, and also the So Detail Thinlits dies. This piece here is just so beautiful. This one is retiring. This one is carrying over to the next catalogue. However, this is currently a bundle with a beautiful stamp set, so if you like the two together and get a 10% discount, then purchase that one now before the beginning of June. Okay, so I just like to have this little bit of filigree in that background. And then I remembered we've got these doilies as well. They're retiring as well, they're going. So I quite fancy the idea of like maybe chopping these in half. I know, don't panic. It's okay to chop your doilies in half from time to time. I've just got to mislaid my snips, but there we go. So I might just tuck them behind little places. Actually, I might add a little bit of extra distressing there. Now the only thing about doing distressing is that once you start you can't stop, because if there's something that looks too clean on your page, it starts to look a little bit out of place. I mean, some people even go so far, and I have done this sometimes with photographs, distressing photographs. Now don't tell the scrapbook police, okay, that I sometimes do that to photographs, but I do it to photographs that I've got other copies of. But you can get sandpaper and actually sand photographs, which is quite fun. But as I said, don't tell the scrapbook police, they'll be after me. Okay, so I think I'm going to start assembling, because otherwise I'm just going to keep faffing and playing. And I'm just going to grab this huge flourish here. Oops. And I'm really quite enjoying working on this larger scale again. Sometimes working like this can be quite scary because it is very big compared to making cards. I mean, usually the cards that I make are 1/6 of this size, and you kind of can get quite used to just working on that scale. So this is quite, yeah, it is very different, but you know, don't be afraid. It's just different, and you know, go for it. Actually, I fancy using this doily somewhere. Where should I put that? Oh, I think I'm going to trim it down. Oh, that's quite cute down there. And a flower. Actually, I may as well just stick that on straight away because I like the look of that. I'm just popping that doily behind that flower there like that. I'm going to do the same with this flower here. There we go. And then I'm going to start adhering the lower layers. So here we go. Stick that down first. And that doily there. And I'm just going to check where that photo lies so that I know roughly where to place the next doily. And I think what I'm going to do is put some glue here just to get this piece to stick on that edge there. And this is quite an underrated little piece actually. It's one that's quite easy to ignore, this pattern in that collection, but it's lovely for creating little borders of cards and scrapbook pages. Right, so that's down. Okay, there's no going back now. Now this is quite a large piece, so I recommend that you have a look and find the thicker areas that you can place glue, because the thing about the Tombow glue is that when you get it down and push down, it will splurge, it will move. I don't know, splurge is the technical word. I'm sticking with it. Oop, stay. Right. Stay. Okay. Stay. It's like talking to plants. Talking to your artwork. Oh, no, I remember. Yes, I wanted that way, didn't I? I want that one that way. Put a good dollop there because I don't want that to move at all. I'm just going to move this up so you guys can see a bit better. Oh, I want that quite tucked in there. There we go. I want that quite curved up. That one in there. Now when you're sticking down curved flowers, it's worth holding it for a few seconds to make sure it's really adhered, because it's, you know, the papers are forcing against each other, they're wanting to pop out of play, you know, out away from the paper. So hold on tight to it until you know it's properly down. Now don't be afraid to cut off some of the stems if they're too long. If you're wanting to tuck it right underneath a flower and it's in the way, just cut the stem off, it's okay. No one's going to check up on you. You know, you've got to make the pieces work for you. I'm just checking what else what else is moving on this page. Right, nothing. So I've just got a few of these little flowers to stick on, and I'm sure I've had a few more that have fallen off somewhere. Oh, they were here a minute ago. Oh, maybe I'll find them later in a minute. Oh, they're tucked underneath there. That's one there. A little bit of glue on that. Stick that down. There. Okay, right, we're getting there. So, just want to stick some pearls into here, and I've got the beautiful rimmed pearls, and they've got adhesive on the back, so easy to use. And look, that just finishes the succulents off. I realised that in this pot I only have large ones, so I do want the medium ones for these smaller flowers. And a tiny little weeny one for this one here. Now, I'm thinking I might change my mind about my background paper because this paper here is soft suede, and I'm not sure if it's a little bit too dark, so I'm just going to see what it looks like against that gingham. Oh, I think I prefer it. I think I like it. Okay, so before I trim it down, I'm just going to see if it does fit into my 12 by 12 page protector here easily, because if it does, then I'm not going to worry about trimming it down too much. Now, it's worth checking 12 by 12 protectors because not all 12 by 12 protectors are the same. Apparently some are bang on 12 by 12, so therefore you do have to definitely trim it down. But as you can see, the Stampin' Up ones are a little bit generous, so I'm not having to cut that down at all, and you know, it's going over my design quite well. So I'm just going to take it back out again because I want to just finish off distressing the edge of this sheet. And another way you can do it, apart from obviously getting your sponge out, is to use some stamps, and I think I'm going to use this little one here and get the Tip Top Taupe ink back in and just go over different areas, and I'm stamping off to create a non-uniform kind of texture. I don't really want it to be exactly the same all the way down, so I'm just stamping and stamping off again and moving the stamp around as I go. Well, thank you so much. If you've stuck it out for the whole of this video, oh my goodness, you deserve a medal. I don't mind if people have had to skip. That's absolutely fine. But it is a scrapbook layout, so these do take a little bit longer to do. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you've got friends that enjoy scrapbooking and you think they may enjoy this video, then please head them in this direction, because I'm hoping to be doing quite a few more of these because I've quite enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to getting into making a few more. And I'm just getting a good dollop of glue on here to make sure it doesn't move. I think I'm coming to the end of this one. I've got quite a few glues that I'm coming to the end of. This one doesn't want to work. getting very gooey fingers now. Never mind, as long as it all sticks down, I'll be happy. Okay, so I'm making sure I've got a fairly even border around everything. And yes, I am aware I haven't done any sentiment or title to this, but I may do so in the future, but I'm just happy to get a layout finished, to be honest. One thing I think I haven't mentioned is that when I wanted to do the border for the photograph, I just cut out strips of DSP and distressed them and then just stuck them in layers behind. I didn't really kind of think about it too much. Because I used the same DSP paper stack, I knew that everything was going to match anyway. So that's the great thing about using matching papers, you know that everything's going to look beautiful together. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.